One of the things that did irk me a bit about my psychology professor when I was doing my intro to psych, as well as what I hope to extend into a further study, since psychology and social issues definitely go hand in hand, but one does not necessarily cause on its own the other. But I digress. I mean, it's a fascinating field, and there's a big reason why I have, for lack of a better term, a huge raging boner for psychology, as well as uh, genetics and many other fields out there that do impact us on a social level. But one of the things he had talked about, and one of the reasons why he defended Bandura, is the fact that we've had young children do unspeakable things. As much as we talk about the serial killers who've committed recent atrocities, we tend to stand up and we say it's these kids because of these video games. It's these kids. They become desensitized, which is even something that's in my textbook that I dislike because I disagree with it. It's insulting. It says that when confronted with real violence, us gamers who've been gaming for years on a steady diet of violent video games, media, and whatever, will not react. And it means that we could be capable, as normal, moral human beings, of committing atrocities without feeling any empathy, without giving any mercy because of this media. And that is a slap in the face of each and every one of the members of my generation, minus those who, for likely religious reasons, were barred from watching or playing certain games or things of that nature. Not harping on it, just saying. I'm so tired of this culture, this what we're calling a gun culture, this violence culture, is being blamed, when actually there's some surprising reasons, which I'll get into in another video, for what might be more substantial improving rises and falls of major periods of violence. And no, I'm not talking about conspiratorial theory stuff here either. Although it is weird, the source for which I will be talking about, the source of people becoming violent beyond reason. What it is I feel, and it's what I got off of my professor, is we're scared. In a way, we're right to be. But in another way, it's because of the media that we are scared. It's because of the media in many ways. You know, the NRA, as I said, NRA wasn't completely wrong. You know, we have a media that is willing and able and wanting to scare you, because the more that they sound like they are arguing from a position of authority, the more likely, when you are scared, that you're not going to think too critically, and you're going to pay direct attention to them because they seem like, hey, they've got it together, they're in charge, they know what they're talking about. So I'm going to ignore any and all other facts around me, and I'm going to focus directly on this person, be it Fox News, be it some sort of liberally biased on the other side of the fence type of media outlets and things of this nature here. That's part of the reason why I stopped watching TV. I used to be kind of a junkie to some degree. But eventually, I started to see the tactics. I started to see and hear things that were not factually based and could not hold up to scrutiny. But I also saw it being taken on as facts that hold up to scrutiny by a lot of people out there. This doesn't just speak of any of our violent tendencies as a people, as a nation, as anything. This speaks to greater degrees, to greater volumes, about some of the things that the NRA did get right, such as the sensationalization of people who do horrendous acts. And when we say it in terms of serial killers, oh, that seems to make perfect sense. But when I talk about how, in a lot of ways, we have sensationalized 9/11 and almost made a memorial to a terrorist act. Oh, I'm crazy, I'm disrespectful, I'm stupid, and don't know what I'm talking about. Do you think half of you would care about terrorism if we didn't make it all that we've made 9/11, all that we've made it? Do you think that you would even give them a second thought in this day and age, despite the fact that you're more likely to run into a domestic uh, person with a gun or something of that nature than you are ever in your lifetime or your children's lifetime ever to encounter an actual terrorist or terrorist act upon yourself? No, of course not, because you get your information from people who want to make it seem like the world is out to get us. We can't change our ways because that would be showing weakness. We can't work together because that would be showing that we're pussies and a pushover, and it would be giving aid and comfort to our enemies because that's how that works. We're afraid of our fellow man, and by man I actually mean men. We're afraid that they're rapists. We're afraid that they're more prone to violence, therefore they're more prone to be gunmen, despite the fact that the facts don't necessarily hold up to that. We're afraid that not only are they rapists, but they're likely child rapists, despite the fact that, again, it's not just men who commit such an atrocity, and it's not just men, and it's not men by and large who are committing this atrocity. But if you flip on the news when it comes time for that segment of the year or that segment of the month, you better believe that it's men who are going to be showcased, it's men who are going to be vilified, and it's men who ultimately get hurt by these kind of fear-mongering sensationalist tactics out there. But I'm including the video by Jim Sterling of the Jimquisition because I watched it not knowing what I was getting into with that video, and I think I'd seen it once before, but I'd seen a cut version, so you hear the gunshot go off, but you don't actually see the aftermath. I like that Jim includes the aftermath because that really hammered home, seeing that real violence is nothing like the movies. You're not going to get some perfect angle of the action. A person's head's not going to explode like a watermelon in slow motion while fitting music is playing. And people seem to forget this. They see 1, 2, 3 people, some of them even kids, committing a horrendous act and showing no remorse for what they are doing, never mind what a child's development or psychology actually happens to be. But again, whole nother topic, whole nother video. And they think to themselves, there has to be a trigger, there has to be a warning. If this person can do this, then they must be consuming copious amounts of violent material because, look, I am not saying that we have to inundate our children with violent material. I believe that should be in the hands of the parents because I believe that it's completely innocuous in 9 out of 10 cases. Now, if your child has an antisocial personality disorder of a strong degree, because again, it's a spectrum. People can be antisocial and not psychopaths, which is an important distinction that we tend to forget. The moment somebody says antisocial, suddenly they're thinking Columbine. No, and stop. But for people like that, who might also have a compulsivity disorder that's impacting their behavior, buying something like this, which again, I've already illustrated in 9 out of 10 cases, a parent had to buy it. It's stupid to blame. We're going to blame the game. Oh, the kid had no part in this. The parent who bought the game in the first place had no part in this. But even then, people act as if this is porn. Remember, there are still people advocating that watching porn, will cause a normal male adult to go out and rape, and likely rape children, because again, we're all rapist pedophiles, right? Right? This is the other half of that equation, the violent porn, if you will. That we watch this, we play through this enough times, we get inundated with this enough times, any normal, well-adjusted adult will then go out and they will kill, because soon the video game won't satisfy them anymore. The first the first one's free, but you gotta buy the rest. It becomes their heroin, their crack, until they're not satisfied with mutilating animals in the forest. Oh no, now they've got to get their bloodlust, their kicks, which is almost primal or sexual in nature. They have to go out in the world and start raping women and girls and children, because that's how this works. Oh, won't somebody please think of the children? There are not enough hours in the day for me to explain to you how absolutely idiotic this is, and yet, in some circles, that is the professional view. Can you see how destructive this is?